Hi everyone, Jesse here with eTrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at and I'll show you how to install the Roadmaster Exact Center steering stabilizer on our 2017 Ford F53 chassis. The Exact Center system is going to cut down on your fatigue when you're taking those long road trips. What it does is it makes the steering wheel just want to stay straight for you, at least when you're driving straight. So with a factory setup on a motorhome like this, you'll notice that when you're hitting bumps or even just the crown of the road, it kind of wants to wander side to side, or even just wind or trucks passing you. It's really going to wear you down after a while, and that's not what you want when you're hitting the road. The way the Exact Center works is it will attach somewhere on the frame underneath the vehicle and then to the tie rod, and in between the two is essentially a shock or a dampener. So whenever you're turning and then you let go of the steering wheel, it's going to want to pull that steering wheel directly center. One thing you want to keep in mind though is before you get this set up, you want to make sure that your motorhome is aligned. So take it on a little test drive, make sure the steering wheel's straight, or else you'll have to make a bunch of adjustments and then end up having to get it aligned afterwards anyways. Here's a closer look at this kit installed on our neighbor's motorhome. As you can see, there's a bracket that mounts using your factory U-bolts on the passenger side here, and that's where the shock mounts up. You can see that rubber bushing under there. Then in here is some nitrogen gas, which is what allows it to expand and contract. So we have this rubber boot here to protect the seals and all of that that's inside there. And then our other bracket here is what mounts to our tie rod itself. So your kit will come with these two U-bolts that you can attach that to the tie rod, and then another rubber bushing to hold it here. Before you get this installed, you'll definitely want to make sure that your alignment is up to date and good. Make sure those tires are tracking straight. Because once we get this installed, we might have to make some minor adjustments. Once you install it, you'll definitely want to take it out on a test drive. And then to make those minor adjustments, there's a jam nut on both sides right here. You just have to loosen that jam nut up, then rotate the assembly to really get it dialed in so you can make sure that that steering wheel is tracking perfectly straight. To ensure that you get the right fit, you'll not only want to plug in your year, make, model of your motorhome into our fit guide, but you also want to know the gross vehicle weight rating because that can differ and that'll affect which kit is right for you. Another thing is, I think it depends on what engine you have, so just make sure you have all that information to ensure that you get the right fit for your motorhome. If you have any more questions or concerns about getting the right fit or just anything about this product itself, feel free to reach out to us. One of our experts or customer service representatives would be happy to get you pointed in the right direction. And I will tell you, I test drove this exact motorhome without any steering stabilizer installed, and then I test drove it afterwards, and the difference was honestly night and day. Just in our parking lot here and on the outer road, it was a lot more relaxing trying to get around, and I felt a lot more comfortable. Another nice thing about this kit is the installation process is honestly pretty simple. It's just a few bolts that you'll have to get attached and get clamped on there. It will take a few times getting it adjusted and fine-tuned, but really it's a pretty simple process. If you aren't comfortable getting your motorhome up in the air or getting under it, or maybe you just don't have the time, the space, or the tools to get it done yourself, feel free to check out our dealer locator. You can find someone local to you that would be happy to help you out with that. If you are looking to get this installed yourself, then just follow along and I'll walk you through the whole process. To start our installation, we'll want to get the motorhome up in the air and have it nice and level. You also want to make sure that the steering wheel is as straight as possible before you lift it. If that steering wheel is a little bit cocked to one side, then we're going to have to do a bunch of adjustments once we get everything installed. That's just going to make our job a lot harder. But once we have it in the air, we're going to start by mounting our chassis bracket. And this is going to slip onto our passenger side back U-bolt here, just like that, with this notch coming out this way. First, we'll have to get our U-bolt nuts removed. This is 1 1/8" on ours. We'll get these all taken out. Sometimes these will be really hard to get off. I just recommend soaking them with some penetrating oil, maybe the day before or a couple days before, to help you get these loose. Now we can slip our bracket into place, and what we want to look for is, if you see this notch here, sometimes we found that this bracket will interfere with that notch. It looks like we're going to clear it perfectly, but if you find that you're trying to mount this up and it won't quite sit flat for you, you can just take this to a bench grinder or use a hand grinder, kind of grind it down, and then I'd recommend painting over it to protect it, but just make it fit so that you can install it nice and flat like that. And then we're just going to loosely install our factory washers and nuts. So now that we have that mounted up, we'll move on to our other bracket. This is going to install onto our tie rod here, and we'll want to mount it with this mounting hole for our actual shock facing towards the axle here. So we'll just slide our U-bolt over, kind of hold that in place, install one of the washers, and thread a nut on. Do that one more time, and then we'll install the other U-bolt. Now we will come back and tighten down our U-bolt. When you're tightening these down, you just want to do them evenly, so I like to go back and forth. Just make sure it is all sitting right and start tightening it. Now we need to torque down those U-bolt nuts to the factory spec, and you will need a big honking torque wrench like this. So if you don't have one, just go to your auto parts store and you can rent one. I'll get these torqued down. Now with these torqued down, we can take our hardware for our shock rod, drop the bolt down through this hole with a flat washer. We'll insert the loop end, put another washer, and we'll finger tighten this nut. Now we can slide our tie rod bracket whichever way we need to get it to line up with this end. And I'll insert our bolt with a flat washer through the shock and through our bracket. Slide our washer and so while we tighten down our tie rod bracket here, you want to hold the entire assembly up. We want it to be as flat as possible or as level as possible. But once you get it in a good spot, we can start tightening down our U-bolts. Just like the large U-bolts, we're going to alternate back and forth with a 15mm socket. Now we'll just double check everything, make sure it's straight, and once you're satisfied, you can torque these down to the specifications in the instructions. Now we'll tighten down both of our mounting bolts with a 3/4 inch or 19mm socket and a wrench. And once we're done tightening them down, we'll also torque these. Now we'll take a 22mm wrench and tighten our jam nuts down. You want to make sure that this is not spinning while you tighten it. So we'll get them both tightened down. Now we're going to take it out for a test drive. What we're looking for is that the steering wheel is perfectly straight. If you do find that it's off a little bit, what you'll want to do is come back under here, loosen that jam nut up, and spin the assembly itself. As you spin it, you'll kind of notice that it's either getting longer or shorter, so that'll help you dial it in and get that steering wheel straight. Once you've made your final adjustment and you like the way it looks, it's time to hit the road. So that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Roadmaster Exact Center steering stabilizer.